Bermuda's Great Sound has lived up to its billing. Great racing for the fastest boats in America's Cup history. But now, just 2 teams can win the 35th edition of sport's oldest international trophy.
Go, 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 go. Racing, mate.
We saw these guys take days off during the week, and we made a commitment inside the team that we would use every single one of them, and we wanted to make the boat faster.
Oh, it was funny when people say we had days off last week, and for ourselves it was a great opportunity for our shore crew to get on top of a job list.
The important point is the boat's faster. That's a good position to be in when you know there's more on the table, but it's working. The boat is getting quicker. It does remind me of San Francisco, when once the guys get buying and they can see the boat is faster, then you start building some momentum.
3-2, whatever. If it goes to Monday, it doesn't really matter for us.
Young, old, wherever you are, doesn't matter what you look like, it really comes down to the results.
No, it's great to see a bit of fight out of these boys.
It's only just beginning, mate.
And it looks like we may finally have a fight on our hands between the defenders, Oracle Team USA, and the Kiwis, Emirates Team New Zealand. Well, the Kiwis had looked imperious, but the Americans finally found a chink in their armour and race day 3 of the America's Cup match.
So race number 5 is underway.
This is the Super Bowl. This is it.
Jimmy Spithill's Americans, they are across the line too early.
Recall, Oracle Team USA.
And the New Zealanders will look to make hay in the meantime. Screaming across the water then, up on the foils at 30+ knots.
Dial down. Emirates Team New Zealand has to dip behind.
The Kiwis go about their business in their usual slick, crisp fashion.
It's another dial down here.
And the Americans have picked up the penalty.
Got a penalty.
The New Zealanders beginning to stretch out in front. So the Kiwis bossing it at the moment. USA now have a huge amount of work to do. It is so straightforward, seemingly, when you're Peter Burling. Yet another success, another hammer blow delivered by the Kiwis. Race number 6 then of the America's Cup match. The defenders in some trouble now. Both boats across the line, clean this time. The Americans getting up on the foils nice and quick, and they've stolen a march this time on the New Zealanders. Jimmy Spitthill will feel a lot happier at the moment. The Americans with a slender advantage.
Goodness gracious.
Well, that's bold from New Zealand. They turn, and they turn in front. And now the Americans are the ones chasing again. We have a proper race on.
Look at that dial down. They're really deep.
Well, this is as tight as it gets right now.
We wanted a sailboat race. We got a sailboat race. If Americans speeding away.
There is hope in the USA camp. It is going to be America's race. And the USA are back in business.
Good work. Here we go. Here we go.
5 race wins only translates to 4 points for New Zealand, as the Americans took a bonus point into the match thanks to winning the first round of qualifiers. So the scoreboard shows a 3-race lead for Pete Burling and crew.
We didn't feel that happy with how we sailed, but we had a great training session this morning, definitely tidied up a lot of those things, and the boat was feeling great. But we're approaching this exactly the same as we've approached every time. We're under no illusions. We've got a battle on our hands, and we're just going to give it everything we've got.
The forecast looks bang on right now. I think we've got a great setup for the day. It's going to be hard on the handles as usual for the boys and in oil world, but I think they're up for it.
4 years ago, Oracle trailed 8-1 before one of the great sporting comebacks saw them retain the cup. So this situation is nothing new to Jimmy Spithill and his team. Today, the conditions are light and Oracle must deliver. Let's join the commentary team of Alistair Eakin and former America's Cup sailor Ken Reid.
So once again, the most incredible setting for racing. Another beautiful day on the Great Sound, and here's our first look at the course, Ken.
Well, welcome to the Great Sound of Bermuda, the perfect racetrack for this 35th America's Cup. The L-shaped race course includes a 2-minute start sequence followed by the critical reach to Mark 1. We're going to get off 5 quick legs with and against a very moderate 10-knot southwesterly breeze, followed by the sprint to the finish just meters off of America's Cup Village.
Such an important battleground. It can really set the agenda for the rest of the race. Flurry of activity on board the Kiwi boats.
Ball down in 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, man.
So race number 7 of the America's Cup match underway. Ken, what's your reading of the pre-start so far?
Well, the starting line is up in the very top of our screen, well up top. Now it's time and distance. This is when that critical moment of, will there be kind of feisty jockeying going on? Oracle very quickly going after what's called the leeward quarter in that hook maneuver, but very quickly peel off out of it. This is really a head game between the two skippers right now. There really can't be any help. This is all skipper's intuition. Oracle again going after that leeward quarter, that hooking position. They can't get there. Burling fending it off very, very well so far. Oracle is a kind of an interesting spot. Burling does have an overlap. Can Oracle shoot in and get over the top? Here we go. Time and distance, 10 seconds to the start.
Looking like the timings are pretty good from both of these crews at the moment. The Americans, though, having to take another little twist, and the Kiwis are away.
Yeah, that last little zig was not probably necessary or in the cards for Oracle Team USA. From a pretty dominant position, all of a sudden, that last little swirl. And remember, Jimmy Spittle told us the other day he was having trouble with his software on the pre-start software. That could have been another situation where the software may have fit to him a little bit.
No penalties this time. He'll be happy about that at least. Jimmy Spithill, 2 penalties in the 6 previous races at the start line, but it is the New Zealanders who are away fastest. 33 knots, flying up on their foils, and first to the first mark.
When he sees that again, Jimmy, he's going to kick himself for that last lift. I mean, Ali, look at the detail of mistakes, of tiny mistakes. Being a second late for the start, all of a sudden is the difference between winning and losing at that first mark. And remember my favorite statistic?
Is that the one that the drone can hold a small Labrador underneath it?
No, that's not
the one about the being first to the first mark.
That's the one. That's the one we're talking about. 100% of the time, the Kiwis have gone on to win a race of which they've been first to the mark, and Oracle clearly in almost a desperate situation where they need to change that trend immediately.
A lot of talk about the weight that's been taken off the American boat. It is much lighter than it was. Those last 5 days that they had to tweak and adapt, they have changed things a good deal. It is a lot lighter, but it is also much tougher to sail and rather less stable than it was. And we heard him talking, didn't we, Jimmy Spittle, about the fact that it requires an awful lot more power, and that means more work for the grinders.
Let's go back out to Christian Kemp for a minute. Christian, 100 kilos possibly coming off this boat. Give people an idea of first of all, maybe how hard that is to get it off the boat, and secondly, what could that actually do to speed? When are they going to see that difference?
Oh, it's going to show up in 10 knots and less than that. And you know, every kilo is important. If you move 100 kilos, I think around a 2-lap race course, you're probably looking at 500-600 meters gain in pure boat speed and under 10 knots. So obviously that's why Oracle's push so hard to take every bit of weight out of the boat that they don't need.
And why wouldn't they have done that early on? Why wouldn't they have done that before this event?
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things that you prioritize differently, and as you go on, you learn and you figure out, oh, okay, this is the best area where we can gain performance. So you've got to make some sacrifice.
I suppose part of it is what we were talking about yesterday, the need to trust in the systems that you arrived here with to a certain degree, but there does become that tipping point, isn't there, where you need to go, right, changes have to be made because it's not working the way we'd like.
Credit where credit is due to the Oracle team, as we said in the pregame, for being open enough to kind of throw probably some key convictions to their program out the window in that 5-day period and build on a whole new set of what you think your speed values are. It's not easy to do, and it's pretty impressive. And look, it's so clearly paying off from the first weekend that we saw these two guys race against each other.
Yep, Kiwis definitely had a massive advantage in those early races, but now we see the pair of boats attacking simultaneously. And just explain, Ken, how easy or difficult it is now for Burling to dictate the pace of this race, to dictate what happens to Jimmy Spithill and the American boat. How much can he really influence what's happening out there?
There is no doubt that there was plenty of talk about the Kiwis actually having a split at the end of the second race yesterday, which you can make a reasonable case that it cost them the race. Every match racer in the world sat there in front of their TV and said, why aren't they tacking everybody? Because they're in control, they could end the race. All of a sudden, the Kiwis are keeping a little closer eye on Oracle, especially in that first tack. They're just going to herd them around. They're going to literally herd them and keep them in the same water.
So Peter Burling taking the Kiwis all the way out, almost to the boundary before deciding to tack. But it is pretty tight out there. Not a huge amount of difference between the pair of them. This is a new stat that we have for you, the accumulation of pressure. This is all about the power that's being generated by the grinders, and they're two different systems, of course. The regular grinders to the left of your screen on board Oracle Team USA, and the cycles of the Kiwis. Ken, if you can maybe elaborate on that in a moment or two as we see.
We'll get back into that in a minute, but this is kind of a cool statistic that many people have been hoping we could show, because it is such an extreme difference between the grinding and the pedaling. Why are they doing it full time? Why is this hydraulic power necessary? Peter Burling allowed for the split to happen there. He actually didn't hurt, as we were talking about herding Oracle, he didn't herd Oracle. He went for the wind shift and went from 50 meters ahead to 280. So it's one thing to dictate how a sailing style of a Peter Burling, as a coach, for example, dictate a sailing style. It's another thing. Don't herd your jockey. You know, you don't rein him in to the point. Let this kid has got you to where he's gotten you. So he made a mistake yesterday. That's the other side. So he made maybe one mistake yesterday. Allow it to happen and just let him go do his things again.
Okay, so back to these numbers. 350 is max. That's 100% of power stored, if you like, isn't it?
Correct. So on the left, on both boats, the port and starboard, that is literally the accumulated pressure for the up and down of the dagger boards, of the foils. That's only used to lift and lower the dagger boards. We believe Oracle actually never accumulates more pressure. They actually just deplete the pressure on their port and starboard accumulator. On the other side, that is how they move all the functions around. That's what the cyclists, that's what the grinders, they're constantly feeding pressure into moving the things around. That means fore and aft, in and out, the wing twist, the wing camber, everything. Slightly complicated, but they're all achieving the same goal at the end, and that's hydraulic pressure. Kiwis get low. I mean, there they are down at 185. That's the pressure to move the foils fore and aft. There's the cyclists just kind of building it back up again. No problem. And they go fast. They build that pressure super fast.
And I think that's the key thing, isn't it? Just watching that move into the green and those numbers to the bottom right of your screen move up. It's moving disproportionately quickly to the American boat.
Yeah.
That, of course, is allowing them just a little bit more tactical freedom. They can choose when they maneuver, how aggressive they can be. So into the gate, and the Kiwis seemingly in control of operations at the moment. Plenty still to go, and we've seen many, many times out here on the Great Sound. One error in maneuver can cost you 150, 200 meters in some cases.
Kiwis just stretch out on that leg, though. As we're talking about hydraulic pressures, we fail to fail really to talk about how much they just legged it out on that last beat. That was very impressive. Both teams have been out practicing in between the events, in between the racing, still searching desperately for that last little bit. Big angle differences between. It's still puffy out here on the water.
30 to boundary.
So the USA sailing a fair distance longer than the Kiwis.
But average boat speed, you look at the average boat speed there, very similar. So there's only one thing that can be making a difference, and that's the distance. And that distance, that could be a wind shift. Very often, that's a wind shift. They missed a wind shift, and the other guys didn't. That could be when Burling did that little split when we were saying, hey, why doesn't the kid cover? He does a split. Sure enough, he's pretty good.
There's a reason he's out there. On board the American boat. It's all business at the moment. Grinders working hard. Jimmy Spithill assessing the situation, just looking around. He's looking for those wind shifts. He's looking for that extra pressure in different parts of the course that might just help them along. Found a good one yesterday, didn't they, in race 6? The fourth leg, the downwind leg, really started to squeeze the Kiwis. They need something similar here.
Yeah, this is a leg out right now. This is almost desperation time when you get out to that 400 or 500 meters for the boat behind.
Just a degree of instability in that one. We see a small wind shift to the left-hand side of the course.
Yeah, left-hand shift. That's actually, that'll be okay for Oracle coming in on that side of the race course right now, but it's also about pressure. So shift is good, pressure is king, and they don't look very, they only go 21, 22 knots. They don't look like they're as powered up as the Kiwis are coming into this bottom gate.
Well, Jimmy Spithill said it himself, didn't he? Speed doesn't come for free. They may have gained more boat speed, but they're having to work very, very hard to build the pressure to allow them to sail the race that they want to sail. So really from here, I know still a long way to go, but it is New Zealand's to lose. Peter Burling is in complete control. There we are on his shoulder. So the Americans are going to split the course.
They're going to try, but Kiwis are onto it. They saw it coming. They probably tacked off early from the boundary and try to, again, get themselves back in the same part of the race course as Oracle's in.
Okay, 24. 10 seconds. Okay, let's stand by there. On 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, and turn 8.
You go into the back to the kind of the key moment in this race, and listen, this is one that Jimmy wants back. Both boats essentially going for the line. You see Emirates Team New Zealand just go for it, go for it. That last little zig, that last little loop right there, that's what cost, you know, the boat length. That's a boat length, and that was the difference between winning and losing that start. For sure, something that Jimmy Spithill would like back at this stage.
It's amazing the dynamic as well, isn't it? Because before this match got underway, everybody figured Jimmy Spithill was going to eat Peter Burling for breakfast at the start line. And it just has not happened that way at all. The tables have been turned emphatically.
Good. No slower. No slower than this. Long way this way, mate.
So the boys working hard. The max heart rate, by the way, the numbers bottom right-hand side of each of those boxes. Your maximum heart rate should be around 220. Take away your age. In your case, your max heart rate be somewhere around 180.
42. You're a really nice guy.
Everybody's made differently, Kenny. That's the important thing. Cling on to that. So Simon van Veldhoven is clearly working harder than everybody else. He's the guy at the front with his head down.
Bronze medalist in the Olympics in cycling. The first time he ever sailed a sailboat race was the first day that the Kiwis were in the trials for the America's Cup. Slightly different path than the rest of us on getting to the pinnacle of the sport.
So the mini-map, bottom left of your screen, giving you an idea as to where exactly we are on the course itself.
Stand by. Keep going. 4, 3.
And they've done a good job here, the Americans, of cutting the deficit once up around the 250 mark, back to 180 or so. But this race is still in Burling's hands.
Go again with full stop. Really good pressure here. Keep it full stop. Sure, boys. There you go. Lower, a bit light.
Kiwis tacking, and presumably from there, Ken, from that position on the course, looking to lay the gate to get in.
Quite possibly. It's going to be close, though. You see it in the top of our screen there. You see the marks in the very top of our screen, way up top. And I'm not sure if they're not going to have to do one more, but this, again, falls under the category of end the race by staying in the same water as your competitor. So I think they might have just gone early, knowing that they're going to give up an extra tack, kind of herd the cats here a little bit, you know, kind of keep them in control and make sure something crazy like the end of the second race yesterday, like that doesn't happen again. Oracle's chewed up a little bit of this lead, though. There's no doubt about it on this leg.
So one more maneuver from the Kiwis will see them through the gate. There'll be one more downwind leg before the blast reach to the finish.
Oracle decided to actually throw in an extra maneuver here in order to gain a split at the top mark. So they're going to tack at least one more time, very likely one more time than the Kiwis, but they will have a split at the top mark. Again, once you round this mark, the acceleration, about a 200-meter lead, turns into a 400-meter, at least a 350 probably by the time they get around. Christian, breeze-wise out there, is there anything going on? Puffs, shifts, anything radical that's going to get Oracle back in the game? Because they need something.
Yeah, they do need something. I don't see anything radical out here, Ken. Team New Zealand obviously listened to you yesterday and protected that left side of the course up the top, and I think they've done so wisely. I think Oracle made some nice gains up that beat through tacking better. It looked like Team New Zealand missed their rudder swap a few times and ducked the bow in on the exit of the tacks, and that cost them quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, but really right now it's Team New Zealand's to lose.
Looking like the Americans at this point require an error, and a fairly sizable one from the New Zealanders. Jimmy Spithill will be looking to bring all his experience to bear. 37-year-old Aussie.
A little bit of...
I mean, there's virtually nothing between them.
Okay, so as the person who's trying to decipher, you look at it, it's actually slightly slower average speed for Emirates Team New Zealand. And that's actually remarkably close with no real rhyme or reason whatsoever. So numbers do lie sometimes. There's no real rhyme or reason why there's 400 meter lead going on right now. Down to 200, coming on.
And no doubt Jimmy Spithill will be happy about the speed factor. There doesn't seem to be a problem on that front any longer, but it is the cost of that pace.
No more mistakes. They can't make those mistakes like that pre-start mistake, that pulling the trigger at the gun. Tell you, they're coming on. Not a great jibe by Emirates Team New Zealand right there. Down to 19 knots coming out of the jibe. They looked stable, but they were quite slow for some reason. Look at this lead getting chewed up right now. One more jibing in. This is that one mistake zone, Ali, that we talk about right now. One bad jibe by Emirates Team New Zealand, and this ball game is brand new again.
So it isn't over just yet. The Kiwis have to maintain their composure, and this is when we see the competitors in the white heat of battle. Can they hold their nerve? Can Peter Burling hold on to this lead? He knows that Spithill will only need a tiny chink of light. There's their final jibe in towards the gate.
You see Glenn Ashby, the wing trimmer, actually driving the boat coming out of these jibes in order to allow Burling to get across, keep the thing up on the foils while Burling is sprinting across the boat. Boy, a real close-up on this leg, but unfortunately with a quick little reach to the finish. We haven't seen a lot of passes on this reach coming to the finish through the entire event. It could be too little too late for Oracle Team USA.
It's looking like it'll be a step too far for Jimmy Spithill, this one. But he will be encouraged at the way that he's closed the gap at the very least, particularly when you take it all the way back to the start line and how costly that was. The Kiwis are zipping along pretty nicely. Little glance over his shoulder from driving Miss Daisy. Don't forget, they've been tidying up their boat as well. He likes a good tidy, Peter Burling. And they've been tweaking and adjusting here and there in amongst the Americans. And as a result of a pretty clean race, New Zealand reassert their authority here in Bermuda, a tight margin, but they have moved into a 5-1 lead in the America's Cup match, and they are 2 wins from the trophy. 10 seconds the margin, 11. That is tight by anybody's reckoning, but it is still an American defeat. This is the standings with the lead now extended by the Kiwis to 5 points to 1.
What an impressive performance from the New Zealanders. The scoreline now 5-1, the America's Cup nearly within their grasp. In any America's Cup, technology plays a major part, and this one is no exception. Taking us through the technological nuances of both boats is one of the America's Cup's leading helmsmen.
I think if you had to look at the 2 boats, Oracle and New Zealand do appear to have a faster package. The Oracle foil is a pretty standard L board that all the teams are using. The New Zealand board is a bit different. It has a kink in it, which means that they can take their light wind boards further up the wind range. You're allowed to change the tips on your boards. So New Zealand have a quiver of horizontals. And the racing around the 10-knot wind range is right between the dagger boards that Oracle have, and New Zealand seem to have a much smoother transition with all their boards. And I think that's the main difference between the 2 dagger boards. The biggest difference between the wings is Oracle have gone for the traditional approach of a wing sheet. Kyle has to trim it with one hand, and he has a bunch of buttons to do the full twist adjustment. Whereas New Zealand have gone down the route of having everything hydraulically. So the wing sheet comes on and off with push buttons, looks like what Glenn has in his hands, and he has the ability to play sheet, to play twist, to play camber, all at the touch of his fingers. And with the hydraulic power that's being produced by the bikes, it's like he's got energy on tap.
The biggest difference that's noticeable is obviously the bikes versus the hand pedestals. I don't think it'll be the deciding factor. I think the control system, the design of the foil shapes, and ultimately how the crew sails the boat will be the big ones.
I think it's pretty obvious your leg muscles are a lot bigger than your arm muscles, and when you need those big spikes and those big hits of power during things like manoeuvres, we can definitely throw it around and never really run out of resource.
The third biggest difference between the 2 boats is how the boats actually fly. Oracle have the same approach as all the other teams in that the helmsman flies the boat while driving the boat. The Kiwis have gone down a very different route. It appears as if they almost have like an autopilot on the boat. And Blair Tuke, the 4th bicycle rider, is focused on this display that we all want to know what is on it. It basically looks like he's trying to keep one line on top of another line, and if he can match the 2 lines together, the boat has this magic carpet auto ride height control. And so it's really freed Pete up to be a tactician and a driver, something that the rest of the helmsmen and Jimmy would not be able to do.
If you talk to anyone in this team, you know, they'll say there's a couple of things that, you know, everyone can see that are very innovative, but there's probably another 50 that people can't see. We do have an incredible tool here to use, and we're really excited about, you know, being able to get out there and throw it around.
Bermuda is Britain's oldest remaining overseas territory, and there was a royal visitor to the sold-out race village on Sunday. Her Royal Highness Princess Anne was a guest of the America's Cup organisers. After watching racing with Sir Russell Coutts, legendary Cup skipper and chairman of the organising authority, she was welcomed as a guest to Britain's Ben Ainslie racing base at the dockyard. Let's get back to the action. Ken and Alistair are in the commentary box.
The shiftiness of the wind, something they're going to have to be on red alert for.
It is hard to pick up these shifts from the television, certainly not on board the boats.
Race number 8 then of the America's Cup match with the New Zealanders, led by Peter Burling, leading by 5 points to 1.
No hook up here, boys.
Much more aggressive by both teams. Oracle tacked into a position they thought was going to be good. They couldn't accelerate, and all of a sudden Team New Zealand has Oracle in a really bad spot.
He's not going up.
Lured boat, Emirates Team New Zealand, they can go head to win. Oracle has to stay out of the way. Oracle is in a deep hole right now. 27 seconds to go, no penalty, so they deemed that Oracle stayed out of the way. But if this is time and distance to the mark right now, to the starting line, which I think it easily is, New Zealand's gone. And you got to believe at this stage, this is almost a must-win race for Oracle.
Okay, go.
Well, they're tearing away the Kiwis at this point. They have boxed in Jimmy Spithill and Oracle Team USA in the pre-start. And they have clear water in front of them. They have clear water behind them. Peter Burling's team are flying. Never mind the start time. That doesn't matter one little bit. It's just about your opponent. Where is he? Where can you pin him down? And where can you leave him for dead?
Oracle tacked. They really tried to get aggressive there with Burling. He tacked around, Jimmy Spithill did, and then couldn't accelerate. Emirates Team New Zealand did a radical turn, accelerated quicker, got into leeward, and holy smokes, just stuffed Oracle head to win and take off for a huge start win. Again, just can't afford it at this stage if you're Oracle Team USA. You want to make this an event, it's not the way to do it.
What a master stroke from Peter Burling. 38 knots as they round Mark 1 and head downwind for the first time in this race. The Americans are a long, long way back, and they are in big trouble at this point. 7-1 in starts for Peter Burling and Emirates Team New Zealand in the America's Cup match itself. That is not a statistic that anybody was predicting in advance of it.
Who'd have thunk that? I talked to some very smart people, and maybe Christian Camp on the water was one of them, that everybody thought that that was still a potential major weakness of Peter Burling. I mean, you guys had, I wouldn't say you guys had your way with them on Artemis, Christian, during the semifinals, but certainly it was the strength of your program.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying to a few of the boys the other day that we actually did well. We lost one start in the 7 races we did, and you know, we did a good job. And right now, Burling is doing the same to Spithill, which is a surprise to many of us.
At least the American helmsman himself.
Still building it.
He will no doubt take personal responsibility, but he will be quietly simmering inside.
Well, time to make something happen. You're only 150, 175 meters behind right now. Certainly within passing the pass zone that we've talked about so much. But, Ali, keep in mind, it's not 5-1. It's really 6-1 in wins, losses in this because of that deficit that Team New Zealand, the challenger, had to start with. 6 races to 1 something's got to give, right? I mean, something's got to turn around. If Oracle, you can't just bury your head in the sand all along and say, hey, this is going to change, because nothing's changing right now.
Well, the Americans are splitting the course at the bottom gate. That's the first thing that's happening. But there'll be a lot of people, Ken, who will have caught sight of the contest in San Francisco 4 years ago, and they'll be sitting there wondering if there are familiar situations ongoing here, whether this is a very different scenario we find ourselves in. I mean, the most fundamental scenario is surely that the Americans have had their time to go adapting and changing. They've had it now.
That's a pretty big, this might be a decent wind shift here to the left for the Americans to all of a sudden close this thing up pretty quickly. Bottom line is, let's not count them out, but.
Actually, no lock, no lock. 3, 2, 1.
So a clean race from the Kiwis would put them within touching distance of the trophy. 160 meters between the two. Americans just gaining a little bit. They need a wind shift to help them out at this point. This is a replay of the pre-start sequence.
So Oracle starts leading back, and they decide, let's go slow here, wait, and we can see if we can trap these guys up to the high side, up to windward of them. They're trying to trap them up above to this side of Oracle, but Burling spins around on a dime, pops up on the foils, and all of a sudden zooms into leeward, and the next thing you know, Spittle's going to be head to wind. He's going to be going head to wind, and complete control by Burling. So I was really surprised, well, not surprised, nothing should be surprising us at this stage, how quick the turn was and how radically effective the acceleration of Team New Zealand. They just turned it around on top of Oracle, and you know what, kind of the student teaching the master in its own way.
That was a master stroke, wasn't it, of match racing from Peter Burling. But this gap is not a big one.
No, and this is all on, right? All on right now. Tight match racing from Burling. Look at this, almost in unison, the two boats tacking. Coming out a little quicker on Oracle. That was interesting. They revved it up a little bit going into that tack, had more speed going into the tack, and actually came out a little more effective. So kind of a bit of the medicine of the Kiwis turned against them there.
A little high group here. Actually, hold that. Just transition here. Little light patch. Just not too low here. Just pressure related. Yeah, still inside the jib. Yeah, we just got to get through this. It's really slippery. That's fair on the jib. Okay. Stand by. This is it's going to be ugly, but we've got to go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Touch and go. 3, 2, 1, 3. Here we go.
Fascinating. Listening to the tactical discussion between Tom Slingsby.
Try and build here.
It's going to be ugly, but we got to go, meaning we got to split. We got to do something here. And I'm kind of surprised because they were making some gains. Why they would have tapped off if they thought it was going to be lighter on this side of the race course.
Really good pressure here.
And this Team New Zealand goes with them right away. Look at that. They've been up 100% of the time in lightish breeze, using their Code 2 jibs, too. They're not even on their big jibs in this race. So it's amazing how was less than a 100-meter lead just turned into 250 in a heartbeat.
20 seconds to line. Standing by.
So the Kiwis, yet again, a long way out in front now, and dictating the terms of the race. The Americans having to adapt their plans, their policies, just to change things up here and there to see what they can do to disrupt this Kiwi passage. And the Americans very, very tight to the boundary. They may well have gone into the boundary. They have. And they've now picked up a penalty as a result of that. And that is surely, Ken, an unforced error.
I think we're all very surprised at this stage. They're going to burn off 2 more boat lengths to get 2 further behind. They were 50 meters behind not too long ago, and this is going to be in the hundreds.
Now, could that have been a software problem about where the boundary was exactly? How does that happen? I know they've got a lot on their minds right now, but that is a fairly basic error at that stage.
Trying to keep a boat going 30 knots while steering and adjusting the dagger boards with your hands on the throttles, and also, you know, catch a guy who's a few. Yeah, you're right. They got a lot on their mind right now, and clearly maybe a little too much, because that was definitely another one that they'd love to have back.
Well, he was complaining yesterday, Jimmy Spithill. He thought the Kiwis had been handed some soft decisions by the umpiring system, but this one he's done all on his own.
It wasn't even close either. That's a good. That's, you know, 3/4 of a boat length outside the boundary. Let's see if there's a little. They're going to need some wind strength. They're going to need a wind shift right now. 250 meters, which means once they turn that bottom mark, it'll be about 150 or so.
So the Americans have sailed some 400 meters further. Average speed is good.
Yeah, a little better speed. Even the Kiwis have even done one more maneuver.
Got light for a while.
And yet the only statistic that really matters
mistakes.
Is the one in your screen up there.
300 meters.
Saying 300 meters.
But mistakes. You start, what, 100 meters behind, and you go outside the boundary, and you get caught the penalty. Not good.
Yeah, I'm going to just pick it off down quite a bit, so go to lay line. Yeah, feeling that lay, Len? Yep. Yep, getting closer here.
The mechanics of that ring going back and forth are fascinating to those of us who sail for a living, Ellie. It's a different world as to how these guys are trimming that foil above the deck. I think it gets very little of the accolades. Sitting there in the middle of the boat, he's got a box underneath. He's got no winches, no ropes to pull.
And the choreography is impressive as well, isn't it? Between them, when the maneuvers are made, everybody knows exactly what's happening, where they're going, how quickly they get there.
You can see the box in his hand there for a second. Yeah, it's just a different world. They've set the boat up completely different to every other boat in the fleet. You know, you asked earlier, what's different from San Francisco to now? You can, I think anybody looking at this Cup cycle would say the most innovative boat is winning right now. We're in San Francisco. The most innovative boat early on in the event was not winning. The innovation went, you know, you leapfrogged the boat that might have been a tad more off the pace, and this is not the case this time around.
And what about the magnitude of what the Kiwis might end up doing here? I don't want to speak out of turn before anything has happened, but I heard it described the other day as David against Goliath in terms of funding and all that kind of thing, as we see the Americans performing arguably their worst maneuver of the race so far. Down to 10 knots only. Just loss of boat speed, catastrophic there from the Americans in terms of what they're trying to achieve here.
Camp going in. We went camp. Yep,
one. Here we go. Okay, settling here, guys.
Good job.
Copy. 24.
Okay, 10 seconds. Stand by.
Happy right hand, Coop. Go, boys. 4, 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, made. Made.
What's your reading of it, Kenny?
They very
they
clearly
don't look comfortable.
No, they maybe you talk in sports about over-pressing. Feels a little over-pressed right now. Desperation time, especially in this race. Maybe not for the event yet, but it's you can see that coming.
You got lift coming. Be a little high, just a touch high, but okay. Happy BMG now. Feels like we're there.
There's the drone shot giving you a really good bird's eye view of the crisp activities of Emirates Team New Zealand. The tack effortlessly performed. Everybody in sync.
High's better.
And again, with the hulls out of the water 100% of the time, minimal communication verbally between the Kiwis.
Good. Pretty happy just going fast now, a little faster, and take the right hand layland.
I think what we just heard there might tell you the story of the Cup. We're really happy just going fast now.
Let's just go a little bit faster.
Yeah. Yeah, up 5 inches.
La 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 la. This it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Look at the distance now.
That obviously that mark rounding cost them dramatically on Oracle. Talking earlier about slaying the dragon. I mean, this is just an incredible look. Look at the spin. You know, one thing that's interesting, Ali, is there's no doubt as the Oracle boat made their foils maybe a little bit slipperier, a little bit thinner possibly. They're doing a very similar technique to Emirates Team New Zealand, and they're bearing off, gaining speed going into the tack, and then whipping it through the tack. So imitation is the key form of flattery or something like that, and there's no doubt that people have gone to school on how the Kiwis have been tacking their boat throughout this event.
So you see to the bottom right-hand side of your screen the green creeping up as the Kiwi cyclists get to work. And we spoke about that in the first race of the day, about their ability to replenish their fuel supply.
350 is the max number that we look at. That's where the system tops out. It actually has a bleeder valve that bleeds it off at 350. But the fact is that both teams have plenty of juice left right now, and it's because of these guys.
Final downwind leg for the New Zealanders, who know that they are close now, very, very close. Jimmy Spithill's got to pull several cats out of the bag.
3, 2, 1. One, move. And made. Hot. Clear. Rolling away, you're clear. Quick made, Bowler. Quick made.
Last second tack, last second split again. Let's go back out to Christian. This is desperation time. These guys talked about how shifty it was. You talked about how shifty it was out there, Christian, but I'm not so sure it's that shifty enough to make up for a 600-700 meter lead at this stage.
No, I agree, Ken. You guys mentioned it. Oracle are making too many mistakes. Bad decision at the bottom mark to go for the late jibe rounding, and that cost them another 200 meters on forced error on the boundary, stuff like that. The guys are actually sailing the boat really well. It was a lovely top mark rounding and a bear away, and they're doing good tacks, good jibes, but they're just making too many on forced errors, and they got to step it up.
Hard to argue with that assessment, but for this lot, history is beckoning. No doubt, the kind of characters that they are, they will not allow themselves to think too far ahead, but the rest of us can. That's part of the fun.
Yeah, so look above their heads up here. There's a little, it looks like on both shrouds, there's this little piece up there. Those are actually vibration dampening little devices. The shrouds themselves are cylindrical, and at these speeds, they develop a horrible humming noise, and it's actually a vibration. Those little, they're kind of asymmetric, maybe shape just little foils around, and that's all it needs. If you just put your hand on it, you can stop the vibration sometimes. So those, instead of putting your hand up and holding on and stopping the vibration, those little widgets are there to keep the thing from vibrating and maybe even breaking something. They can vibrate so violently.
They are cruising away at the moment. The New Zealanders, they have sailed an outstanding race right from the word go, right from that pre-start, when Peter Burling outfoxed Jimmy Spithill, trapped him into a corner, headed off into the blue, and he is seemingly not to be caught, not to be stopped. Down the runway he goes. This fearless team, this team that arrived here in the America's Cup match with very little baggage. Glenn Ashby, the only survivor, of course, on board Emirates Team New Zealand, who was present in San Francisco 4 years ago. They're out to right the wrongs, and they're doing everything in their power to make it happen. Making it look simple. That's the most impressive thing about it. 100% fly time, up on the foils for the entirety of the race, and the Kiwis hurtling across the finish line and hurtling into match point in the America's Cup. Their dream close to being a reality now. The trophy tantalizingly within their grasp. But the chickens, of course, won't be counted just yet.
Talk about almost the perfect race. That 100% fly time amidst all the pressure, just phenomenal.
Well, they've been here before. History tells us they have been here before. Cast your mind back to 2013 and the dramatic events of possibly the greatest comeback sport has ever seen. And that is what Jimmy Spithill will be clinging on to now. It's just about the only thing he can cling on to now. Celebrations for the New Zealanders. Job not quite done, but they are very, very close. The standings with the Kiwis now 6-1 ahead, and that means they're at match point. One race win from claiming the oldest international trophy in sport.
You cannot help but be impressed by the young Kiwi team. Faultless, a dominant performance once again. Their grasp on the oldest trophy in world sport now tantalisingly close. For the Americans, they may well be beginning to run out of answers. Here's what the two helms had to say. Jimmy, given the scoreline, who's under more pressure, you or the Kiwis?
Well, probably them, to be honest. I mean, now we're in a situation where we've really got nothing to lose. You know, we've just got to go out there, guns are blazing, and, you know, really focus on just getting a win up on the board.
Just reflections on the day?
Well, just too many mistakes, really, from us. You know, I thought we did a lot of things good, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, if you make mistakes in these boats, you're going to get punished, and that's what happened today. You know, I think if you look at the errors on board between the two teams, clearly we made too many, and that's why, you know, the other guys won 2 races.
A massive congratulations on the day. It looked like you couldn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, well, we definitely still made a lot of mistakes out there. You know, I think we did a great job of, you know, recovering from them and not giving these guys a good opportunity to pass like we did yesterday. And, you know, we felt like we had a pretty good opportunity to win that last race yesterday, and we definitely tidied up a lot of the issues we had yesterday to, you know, make our life a little bit easier today. But we're really excited with the way we learnt, the way we improved, and the way we stepped forward.
Who's under more pressure, you or Jimmy?
Oh, we're excited. You know, we've made it no secret to win this thing. You've got to come here and you've got to win 8 races in our situation against these guys, and also you've got to win that last race. So, we're just really excited about that opportunity to do that now. You know, we've got some great fans here. You know, the amount of Kiwi flags in the crowd, you know, back home, you know, on the road, on the way in, is absolutely amazing. So, we really appreciate that support we get from back home.
We saw you took a while to come back to the harbour, and some of the senior management of the team got on board. What was the basis of that conversation, and are you starting to look ahead to holding the cup?
No, I don't think any of the senior management got on board. You know, like I said before, we've still got a lot of things we wanted to work on, and there are a few things on the boat that weren't quite working as good as we wanted them to today, which was making our life a little bit harder in a few situations. So, we got a few guys on board to try and rectify that situation, to put a few sensors in, to test a few things, and we feel like we've got a lot of better understanding of what was happening now.
Good news for us.
What about for you personally, Pete? Tomorrow you could make history. Has that sunk in yet?
Yeah, well, nothing changes for us. Like I said before, we've still got to win the 8 races. It's exactly what we came here to do. It's what we've been trying to do for the last 3 years, and we really enjoy these situations where you get put under a lot of pressure and really strive on it.
How much does the result 4 years ago affect the way that you've gone about this campaign, and particularly now we're getting into the sharp end?
Yeah, well, to be honest, last time when Team New Zealand's in this situation, I was in Marseille racing a 49er. So, definitely the debrief we did have after that, when we did get into the team, is really set us up to be in this position we're in now. And we definitely wouldn't be here today without, that heartache in San Fran.
You've been an America's Cup helm all of your professional career. Is this as tough as it gets?
I think, when you're in a team environment, obviously you'd much rather be performing well than not performing well. But having said that, it's, we have sort of been here before. We've had to go through some tough situations. We've had to pull off some comebacks. Clearly, this wasn't our plan coming into this America's Cup. We'd much rather do it the other way, but we're here now. So the question is, what are we going to do? I can tell you one thing: we won't be waving any white flags.
Well, punchy talk from Jimmy Spithill. Joining me is Olympic sailor Stevie Morrison. He's talking it up in the press conference, Stevie, but a lot of errors from Jimmy Spithill today.
Yeah, he can't get away from that. I mean, a lot of their performance, they've obviously sacrificed some of their manoeuvrability and some of the control in the boat to try and be a bit quicker, but fundamentally the starting is where we expected him to be strong, and he can't get away from the fact he made mistakes today.
We're going to talk about Team New Zealand. It seems every day better and better. They have no weaknesses.
Doesn't appear so. I mean, we saw yesterday they perhaps were trying to expand the game a bit, almost sail the shifts on their own and ignore Oracle Team USA, whereas I think perhaps in the debrief last night, the coaches came on board. This part of the team we've perhaps not seen, so as much as we see the sailors are really at the top end, I think just the whole team is superb and really getting better as the event goes on.
You know Pete Burling pretty well. You've raced against him. He's only 26. I just wonder if the magnitude of what could happen tomorrow is really beginning to sink in.
I just don't see it. He's so used to winning. He's won the World Championships in the 49er for the last 4 years. He's won an Olympic gold medal last year, Moth World title. Everything he does, he wins. And at the moment, he's certainly carrying on along that path.
Is this game over, Stevie?
You never say never. It's a boat race. It's shifty. It's a very, very hard fight for Oracle from here, though.
You never say never. Well, 4 years ago, Oracle did just that. They came back from this position. Let's see if they can do it this time. Join us tomorrow in the late evening.